Don't sell yourself short. Don't do it. Went for a little swim with the turtles. It's very nice. You've seen it. You know it. Don't doubt it. Just live it. It's an absolutely gift of a day out here. Hello everyone. Welcome to my little corner of the world. Today I am going to share with you my ice bath practice. I've been waiting to make this video for quite some time and I'm very excited to share this with you. Today I'm going to be doing a 20-minute bath in about 40 pounds of ice. I have worked up to this point over a period of around 10 months or so. So my recommendation is if you find yourself inspired by this video and want to dive into this practice, that you not emulate this video exactly. I did work up to this point, and I'm not just diving into this kind of extreme expression of this practice without building up to that point. And so it is important when working with the cold that you build up stamina over time. As we all know, exposing yourself to the cold can be dangerous, and it is important to honor your body first and not put yourself into a potentially harmful situation. So everything that I share with you today comes from a place of love and harmony, and I hope that you will find it entertaining and valuable as well. Before I do any of my ice baths, I start with some nice breathing. So we'll start out with a real simple technique, just taking some nice deep cleansing breaths, filling up the lungs with air, and move into some more percussive breathing where we build up a lot of heat in the body. And this is actually one of the most important parts of the practice. As I actually share the ice bath with you, you'll see me go through several different stages of the ice bath. I would say that I think of around 4 distinct stages when I do an ice bath. There's kind of the initial rush when you first get into the cold, and you've all experienced that. If you've ever turned on a shower and stepped in prematurely or dove into a pond or a pool that's a little too cold, you know that kind of feeling. And so we actually mimic that with the breath work before we get into the ice, and that allows a more harmonious transition into more regular patterns of breathing, because the body does kind of take over and react to being put in what feels like such a stressful and potentially harmful situation. And so even with as long as I've been doing this, every ice bath that I get into, I kind of always go through these same stages of maybe I'm not going to get all the way in the bath this time, maybe I'm only going to do my lower body this time, maybe I'll just do 5 minutes here and there. And that stayed consistent every single ice bath that I've done. I kind of have this little play that I get to watch happen in my mind as I work through different layers of discomfort. And for me, that's actually part of why I practice this. It's a way for me to intentionally retrain my body and my mind into being able to sit in situations that feel scary or uncomfortable and actually move through that instead of trying to run away from that, which is kind of our default. We kind of always try to run away from discomfort. We try to run away from things that feel intense or powerful. And this is a way of reprogramming the mind in order to be able to find those states of harmony within, even if the outside circumstances don't necessarily reflect that. And so in my personal practice, this has been really remarkable. It's helped me move through quite an extensive panic disorder. I used to have these panic episodes that would kind of take over my body and mind. I would lose sight of tangential reality and would enter into these imaginal states, these kind of liminal states where I would feel as if I was either on the cusp of death or had actually died, and the confusion that can kind of come along with trying to ground yourself in that when I first started practicing the ice baths, I actually noticed that a lot of those same themes would come up for me. I would kind of feel the panic start to well up in me. I would not be able to catch my breath. My heart would race, and I would get the overwhelming urge just to book it out of the bath. And as time went on, and I moved through these different layers of being able to see that and recognize that, and instead of judging it and saying, oh, I must be bad at this, or oh, it must not be working, or oh, something must be missing, I just opted to observe it and to notice it and just to accept it for exactly the way that it was. And through that practice over time, it has become a meditation for me where I'm able to allow those things to simultaneously exist in me with also cultivating a sense of peace. And so that's kind of the long and short of what I'm doing with this practice. It is a spiritual practice for me. It's a form of meditation. This also has really great benefits for the body as well. And in this season of my life, this has been one of the most important facets. I haven't shared too much of my health journey on my YouTube channel, but I have some kind of undiagnosed chronic illness that causes me to be in a lot of pain. I have a lot of inflammation in the body, a lot of gastrointestinal discomfort, and there's a whole host of other symptoms that come along with that. And the ice baths actually help alleviate a lot of that pain, a lot of that inflammation, and help it be more comfortable for me to be in my body. And so these practices that are both physical and spiritual are a more holistic approach to being able to integrate our full self into the expression that we want to be. And so I want to offer this quick disclaimer before we get started that I'm not a healthcare professional, so I can't recommend that anybody try this. This is for educational purposes only. I just want to share my own practice with you. So just know that if you try this, you are assuming any risk that could come along with this. I also urge that, especially in the beginning when you're practicing this, if I urge you to practice with another person present, not to do this alone, just in case you get into any situation where you might need help. You just don't want to be in that situation without someone there to help out, so make sure that you do that. I'd also recommend starting in a regular bathtub. You'll see my setup here in a moment, and I use a galvanized steel tub for my ice baths. It gets a little colder, and it also is a lot deeper, which allows me to get more of my body into it. And that being said, I've worked up to this point, so I did also start in a regular bathtub, but it doesn't get as cold, doesn't retain the cold for as long, and it gives you more of an ease into this practice, so you can kind of get your feet wet without getting in too far over your head. And so when I started with about 7 pounds of ice for a full bathtub, and I worked up from 5 minutes in the bath to around 30 minutes in the bath at that level, and then just slowly began increasing my my ice from that point. And it kind of had an effect in that the more I increased my ice at first, the less time I would do, and then I slowly bumped the time up as I was also bumping the ice up. And so at this point I've done 15 minutes and 40 pounds of ice. I'm going to try to go for 20 today, and we'll see how that goes. Thanks for joining me. So I always start by just taking a few deep cleansing breaths in through the nose, out through the mouth. Gentle in-breath and letting go. Here you'll start to notice the moving energy in the body, speed, and change the direction of my shoulders, bringing awareness to the sensation of breath traveling as I work towards moving into the bath. My breathing and releasing out increases in intensity to mimic the intensity that I'm going to feel as I step into the ice bath. creating heat in the body, movement, strength, and resiliency. Through this practice of breath, intention, and cold therapy, the goal is to enter a state of thermogenesis where the cells begin to repair themselves. This next breath technique is known as Kapalabhati, or breath of fire. This comes directly from the yogic tradition and creates quite a bit of heat and kinetic energy in the body. You can make this as rapid or as slow as feels good. The idea is to snap the stomach back towards the spine on the exhale, pressing all of the air out of the lungs. The inhale then becomes automatic, and breathe in at the end and retain the breath. Feel that fire. This is my tub here. I'll fill up with water and ready to go. I take Alright folks, 20 minutes in the bath. Ooh, a little chilly. I'm gonna go take a hot shower now. I'm good, feeling alive, ready to roll, ready to take on the challenges of the day.